I'd like to call the December 19th, 2018 meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority to order. Before we get going on to public comment, I'd like to introduce our newest director, the DDA, Ms. Tanya Lockwood. Hi. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, hello. My name's Tanya Lockwood. I'm a resident of Royal Oak, also own property in Royal Oak, and co-owner of Motor City Gas Whiskey Distillery. So on my other job, I work in healthcare, and so healthcare administration. I'm very excited to join all of you and look forward to learning more.
Awesome. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to open public comment. As I call on you, if you just please raise your hand, I'll call on you, come to the podium, state your name and address, and let's hear from you. Gentlemen.
My name, Alan Ashley, Royal Oak Manor. Your whiskey's very good. Bought much of it. I'd like to talk on two things. First is, I know this spring you're going to be putting in some slow-down islands, I guess that's what you call them, on Main Street between 6 and 7 to slow down the speed. Could you also at the same time think about putting in pedestrian lights like they are in Clawson on 14 Mile? Only I'm suggesting this ahead of time because, one, you have the possibility of OCC redoing 7th Street and Main Street, and that's exactly where one of the lights needs to go. And you've got 3 new bars opening up downtown, and with Bar Louie and the other one on 5th Street. All this new people are coming down, and you're going to need those pedestrian lights for people to cross. It is getting dangerous, and this way, with the new OCC opening up, you will help people, not only the people at Royal Oak Manor, but the city residents of Royal Oak crossing the street at 6th and 7th, because we do need it. The second item I want to talk about is the new Royal Oak Unity Fair. You're going to be taking away that P7 parking lot, which is directly across from Royal Oak Manor. I have 25 people that I have to move somewhere on my side. I've talked to the organizer, and he is agreeable, since he is not going to use any of the east side of Main Street for vendors or anything, that he's agreeable to let us use the parking meters on, he thinks it's a great idea to use the parking meters on 7th Street, both sides, and the ones on 6th Street from Main to Williams. Williams, I've already have the people with mobility problems parking in it. Right now I have 5, and I'm possibly going to have 2 more I have to add to the list that are parking on Williams. We can use the rest of those parking meters for the other 25. But for this Unity Fair, please grant us moving to 7th Street and 6th Street so I can put 25 people. What we can't fit, I can squeeze 2 or 3 into our 2 parking lots. Also, in this end of the year, could you please have the kindness to lower our parking for seniors at that large P7 rate from $45 down to $25? You are putting a burden on us. Our statements from Social Security, average amount of money we're getting raised, $30 a month. And our rent is probably going to go up $40. So we're in the hole already. $25 for that parking for seniors for the Royal Oak Manor would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashley. Anybody else out there?
Ron Wolf, I reiterate the plea for these poor seniors. There are only 25 of them. God, you give more better treatment to the cats and the dogs in the shelter. I mean, they can't afford $45 a month. I can't. I'm in Barton Towers. If I got stuck with that, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be tearing my hair out. I wouldn't be looking so good. Now, I drive a 2002 car, was held together with spit and glue. These people are in the same boat, and half of them are in the early stages of dementia. These are poor people. You heard them at this commission meetings. One lady said she went through 3 husbands right here in Royal Oak. She came back here because she wanted to die in Royal Oak. Well, you're doing a good job of killing her. But anyway, what I came here to talk about is something else. We are told we do not have $5 million left for a 2-acre park, said our city manager at one point. Now, Melanie Macy says we do. I'm confused, okay? We do have the money. Now, as you know, Star Dream Plaza was built mainly with private donations. Now, this is what I envision. I envision a park that could not only be the pride of the city, but could function as an asset for residents of all ages, while at the same time attracting tax-paying development downtown without the necessity of having to give away valuable downtown property and charter illegal private loans, as was done with Mr. Bolgi. Investing in a Class A downtown park would be a no-brainer for both residents and the DDA. Just look at what new parks have done for other cities. I keep telling you, check out TED Talk, Amanda Burden, and City Parks. Look at Campus Marshes, especially the Central Fountain. Look at New York, and look up New York City Central Park's Billy Johnson Playground if you want to see what an imaginative playground looks like. We only have 2 acres. Please do not cave into the special interests. I'm sorry, Mr. Witz is here, and the music school here they would like to see a large amphitheater. But who knows how long Arts Beach needs to be around? Do we need a large amphitheater? No. The library steps with access to electric bathrooms, chairs, provide a natural amphitheater. Do not even consider moving the Star Dream, as during its installation it cracked and had to be returned to a foundry that no longer exists. I found this out when the people that built the Star Dream gave a talk at the library. And I don't care what Mr. Bolgi wants. He wants to turn it around facing, well, I don't know, whatever, but that was in the past. Instead, I suggest install LED spotlights to accentuate the statue, install LED color lights underneath the water to create fountains of color washing over the reflecting metal star. You're going to have something that's really beautiful. As Royal Oak has exponentially exploded since the creation of the Star Dream Plaza, I implore you to consider a larger, more central cooling fountain, also equipped with underwater installed programmable LED-colored lights that would be a magnet for weddings and other events. The city cannot afford expensive program water jets similar to Campus Marshes, but this it can afford. It can afford new inexpensive to operate programmable LED lights. Imagine the joy of children in all ages playing and relaxing around the sound of water during hot summer months. This, along with the Billy Johnson-style playground slide with climbable mountain play areas surrounded by natural swings and more colorful, child-attracting bees, like I like in front of the library, and other fanciful creatures, and natural grass, shade trees, artistic benches where one can sit and read or just enjoy the flowers, chess game tables, eventually collapsible ping pong tables. You can store them at the library. There would be nothing like it inside our city or at surrounding cities, not even Detroit. This is where I believe much money is possible, should be invested from both public and private sectors. With a park lit by romantic European streetlights casting shadows through a tree canopy onto paved stone paths, this park can be a giant vitamin pill for the entire city. Consider double-wide sidewalks on Troy and 3rd to accommodate food trucks, tents for art shows, bicycle racks. No bicycles should be allowed in the park. Or portable stage trucks for major events, including the farmers market with a closed-off Troy Street. This is what I envision, and I hope enough residents wake up and say, yes, we deserve this, let's make it happen. Please think of all the expenses you're already incurring taking down the old City Hall and, of course, the erecting of the new City Hall. What for? A mediocre downtown green space useful only for a staging area? Or an amphitheater? Is this what your mayor and commissioner wants? I say, why bother? We already have 50 neighborhood green spaces, so why do we need another one?
Mr. Wolf, you got about 30 seconds.
Okay. Now, I know we're going to get some opposition about why do we need another park. This is not a park. This is a downtown center where that's going to benefit both you as owners of businesses just as much as it benefits residents. And more residents you have coming downtown, the more shopping downtown you have. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wolf. Anybody else? Seeing nobody else, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the table. Item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes from October 17th, 2018. As you recall, we did not have a meeting in November. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to.
Director Krieger moves. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Director Riley. Anybody with any comments, questions? What's the matter?
My screen's not working.
My screen's
What's that?
Our screens aren't working.
Trust me, they're good.
Yeah, buddy.
Aha. Mine eventually worked. Just took a while. All right, thank you.
It might be a conspiracy going on. Okay. So I have a motion on the table. I'm looking for any discussion. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 4, monthly expenses. These are informational. I don't think there's anything that needs any action on here. And I believe, Tim, the only thing I'm looking at is the reimbursement to the Etkin, but that's for the, I assume that's for the portion of the streetscape bordering the post office?
Yes.
Okay.
Holy cow.
Anybody with any
mine's running
questions
slow
or
too. You gotta
comments
be
about the
patient.
expense items?
I'm in no man's land here.
All right, seeing none, I'm gonna move right ahead to our 2019 meeting schedule. Item number 5. And I believe there's 3 dates that have possible conflicts, but
No, it looks good. I scrolled down, I don't think there's anything like that comes into holidays, like close to holidays either. I think we're good this time.
We should definitely not meet on the equinox.
Right. Bad juju.
Yes. No way.
now you've got it. Anybody with any issues?
Put the dates in there.
No.
If everybody's happy, then I can entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
And a motion by Director Riley.
Second.
Second by Director Krieger. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 6.
That was an easy one.
Very briefly, it's, you may recall, as part of
Nah, needs a
the
motion.
Etkin office development, Doug Etkin himself had to place a personal guarantee for completion of the building. Since the building's done and occupied and the C of O is issued, they requested a release of that personal guarantee. The draft document has been reviewed by outside legal counsel Randy Matthew from Kerr Russell Weber, as well as City Attorney Dave Gillum, and they're both comfortable with the agreement. The board would simply need to pass the resolution to authorize me to sign it as executive director. And then this will go to the city commission for their action.
I'll move the motion. I mean, it's up, it's running. And you got all the shots and papers, so I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Director Krieger.
Support.
Support by Director Johnson. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Release the wallet. All right. Number 7, Unity Fair proposal, Mr. John Witz. Guess we could have John come up and,
Yeah, on the website, I posted the letter that I had. What I handed out was a copy of the police department special event permit, so you should have both documents there for your review.
Mr. Witz?
Thank you,
Commissioner Dunstan, and it's great to be here today. The event that I put forward to the city, both commission and the DDA today, is an event that I think would be a great fundraising opportunity for local churches and schools, would bring tens of thousands of people downtown, hoping for as many as 30 to 40,000 people over 4 days. It would be very unimpactful related to street closures and use of parking compared to, the other event that we do. It would feature strong marketing with local media partners in the value range of $50,000 to $75,000 of advertising. It would be grassroots in nature and talking with the chief of police. There would be limited officers required and drain on the police. Again, to give an example, probably in the 10% range of the officers used for Arts, Beats, and Eats, and probably even less than Dream Cruise. Talking about 2 officers during the day, 3 on some evenings, 4 on others. So it would be, very limited related to that. And the opportunity came about with a really high-rate carnival that is in Detroit and has been in Detroit for years and has been displaced. And I know I'm in a public setting, but very off the record, it hasn't been announced that River Days is moving locations and the location cannot house the event that is going on related to carnival rides and the weight on the grass where it's moving to. So saw an opportunity to create some positive goodwill and bring people downtown, bring families together, raise money for community organizations, and create a win. So in addition to what we're asking for from the city and the commission, of which the city and the DDA, commission and the DDA, is in addition to that, we will raise, another $70,000 to put into this event, maybe $80,000 to help with costs. The total budget will be in the $140,000 range to put on the event. So the city contributions and DDA contributions are leveraging additional sponsor dollars and support that'll be invested in advertising the city and bringing people together. The business model of an event like this, the carnival, from a ride perspective, takes 70% of the revenue. So there's not, the ride revenue is majority carnival, and out of that other 30%, we would be sharing 10% as a back-end bonus to the community and church organizations that participate, in addition to sharing 50% of the revenue to get in, and we would probably also provide a great amount of free tickets to bring in people to the event, so we just have a cushion on guaranteeing attendance, and we would strategically give out tickets through sponsors and sources that would not compete with the church and school organization. So that'd be very tactical. An example for this is, let's say we were able to obtain Chrysler as a sponsor, we'd give away 5,000 admission passes to Chrysler employees and families, which would not, compete with churches and schools, yet also bring 5,000 people to downtown and help make the numbers that we want to make and create value. We might do so that's just some background, on the event. I think there's more in the letter, and those are some initial thoughts, and I'm sure the body has questions. Oh, one other thing I would say is in the 4 days we're planning on using the property that we're asking for. The first day, on Thursday, we're really limiting our use of the property, so we would not touch 5th Street, Center Street, or 6th Street. We would keep it to the lots and keep it to Center Street between Main and 6th between Main and Center, and 7th between Main and Center. And on Thursday night, we would do the inclusion of the activities that are on Center Street, 5th Street, 6th Street. In addition, for the retail businesses that are on 6th North of the street, where there is retail, we could potentially barricade an opening for the public to those retailers. So that wouldn't even need to necessarily be in the footprint. And I think that would be a decision among Oak City Grill and those retailers. Hey, do you guys want to be fenced into the event, or would you like to have access for people to walk in without, being a part of that fence process? So there's really an opening there, and there's really a lot less pressure, on business impact and really abilities to, to keep us as less infringing as possible. Meanwhile, bringing in thousands of people that could shop at retail, business, bar, restaurant, et cetera. So one other point I wanted to make related to that was just on the just on my mind there. I'm sure it'll come to me, but that was another aspect of it that that I wanted to mention too. So, that's what I want to mention is the parking per the discussion of related to senior parking and other parking. There is no request of city meters at all for vendors. We would work with 2 church partners, hopefully St. Mary's, Royal Oak First United, OCC is a potential supporter of this event for where we could put vendor parking. We might talk to the city about some parking that's a little bit further out that's not going to impact revenue for guests that are coming in. So it's really vastly different than Arts Beats and Eats, of course. So there you go. If I missed anything, it's in the letter, and happy to take questions about it. And again, just so everyone understands the short notice of this. The short notice of this relates to the fact that the decision to move River Days came down really quickly, and the ability for the carnival to land in the city. They were notified that it's not going to be in Detroit, so they have to start looking for places, and they are immediately need to know where they're going to be because it's a prime date for that carnival to land. It can go not just in Metro Detroit, it could land in Indiana, Wisconsin, whatever. It's they need to know they can land somewhere, and there's a 50 to 60% chance we could lose this event if we waited. So that's the purpose of needing to know. And in addition to wanting to get a jump on planning, in addition to being this being a major win-win for everybody, and I say that from an objective perspective, this is a great opportunity to bring people in and get value in advertising and do the work of the DDA related to promotion and bringing people to the downtown, supporting the local community. And we've talked to 14 church organizations, and all but one said they want to move forward and are waiting to approach people and get going. We've talked to 2 school organizations, one that spoke at the meeting, and they're excited about it. And we hope to raise between $30,000 and $50,000 for these organizations. So there you go.
Anybody have questions?
Tim, do you want to go any further? Do you want me to speak on behalf of the Business Marketing Committee?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So this came before the Business Marketing Committee, and we met with John. And again, this thing is happening very fast for the exact reasons that John spoke. The things that the committee liked about it was that it's an event that's coming into downtown, that's going to bring families, that doesn't shut down Main Street, doesn't shut down Washington Street. And the way the 2 events, you've got basically the rides in the parking lot, P6 and P7 will be totally family oriented, and then on the weekend over on Fifth Avenue, there'll be a stage, more of like a Metro Times type fest. So it's almost like 2 festivals in one, in a small footprint, and both will be promoted separately, correct?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of the things that I forgot in making the presentation. So there would be a music stage that would start Friday afternoon and go through Sunday early evening on that stage, and that would be the type of acts that you see on Fifth Street during Arts Beats and Eats, which has led to a huge positive atmosphere for all the businesses that are located on that street. Our vision for Sixth Street is to bring in a zip line. The company that we work with is going to do one in Detroit, but they have two of them, and we would, do the other one here. And, people could take off, either figure out the best way to take off on Center Street and land at Washington and Sixth, or vice versa. I think that's all things that we could discuss. And then there would also be a kids stage, arts and crafts, and other family activities in addition to the rides. It would not just be a carnival situation. So I'm glad to add to that aspect of it. Yes.
John, really quick, so the stage on Fifth Street, would it be positioned like how it is?
Second on the back.
There it is.
That's what I was looking for.
I was looking for
Yeah.
it.
There you go.
Yeah, good job. He answered my question.
Yeah, so the stage is going to be set further back than it normally is at Arts, Beats, and Eats, with the goal, because the activity of the festival here comes more from Center Street than Washington.
Yeah.
We would want the sound and the vision of that to be visible from Center. There would still be room for an emergency vehicle to go behind the stage, but it would be pushed back into the street to create sight and sound from the Center Sixth area, so people in the evenings could gravitate in that direction. And the other thing too, points are coming up. We're only looking to do this on a one-year basis. It's a new event. See how it goes. It has the right ingredients. It has a solid operations team. It'll have a good marketing plan. It'll have a good community element, and it has a really high-quality carnival operator that we've seen working in Detroit without incident for 11 years, doing a flawless job. Great staff, polite staff, and
So
clean.
they're in Detroit for 11 years, you said?
11 years, yeah, at River Days. They were the carnival of River Days
okay.
for 11 years. Yes.
And this is like a 1-year type,
Well, yeah, I mean, this is 1 year for everybody. Just see
what happens?
See what happens. See, how does Royal Oak like it? How does the carnival like it? How do the churches like it? How do we like it? This isn't an established event where we're trying to get a multi-year kind of situation. It's got all the tools in place, and put our best foot forward and discuss it afterwards. I have a feeling with the plan it's going to be very, very successful. But we're going to lay all the tools that we know on how to put a good event together, strong programming, strong marketing, strong community involvement, and an aggressive marketing plan. We'll have 2 TV stations. They'll be working on the Detroit event. We look to have one, focused on the event in Royal Oak, so we'll have its own, television partner as well. I mean, the value to the city and advertising and promotional will exceed $100,000. I mean, there's no question, so.
So, getting back to the issues, the fact that it's end of school year when school gets out, which is a prime time for this type of a festival. The fact that it's going to benefit lots of local houses of worship, which I think sends a nice message, particularly with some of the other things that we do in downtown and people may criticize us for. The fact that it is John Witz and his organization, I think that people, that if his track record in this town has been exceptional in terms of the way that events have been promoted, the way the city's been promoted. I, for one, I live in the downtown area. I look out my window on Tuesday morning after Arts, Beats, and Eats, and outside of a few barriers sitting there, you wouldn't know that the event had been there. The setup and the teardown has always been good. The ask of the DDA is $35,000. In John's initial plan, that was would be paid back through parking, if we were to increase parking a couple dollars or so in the garages. I think the flavor of the Business Marketing Committee is to not do so, is to leave parking the way it is. We could have partnered with OCC with their lot and pulled something out of that. I think the flavor of the committee, anyway, is to leave it as is. The city will still get a benefit due to increased usage of the garages. The new garage will be up and running by then, by the end of June. I mean, if you imagine an additional 4,000 cars at $5 a car, that's $20,000. Granted, it goes to the parking fund and not to the DDA, but we're all on the same team when it comes to the garages and the bonds, et cetera, et cetera. So, and members of the committee can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the flavor is to leave parking as is, correct?
Oh, I would not want to raise parking.
Okay, okay. And again, the thing to keep in mind, this is for lack of a better term, a one-year trial basis. It's a one-year contract. We'll see how it goes, you know. Hopefully, it goes incredibly well. We have great weather. Lots of families are in town. They're not, you know, the Maine is open, Washington's open. People are eating and drinking and night and day, and, you know, we have 4 days of success of bringing people and turning new people onto the downtown area.
Anybody? Lori?
Well, I have a whole list of concerns. One is, why do we have to pay him any money at all? Basically, the money he's asking us for is the exact amount he just said he's going to donate to charities. So basically, the city itself can just donate that money to churches for tax write-off. He can have that carnival anywhere. He could have it at Memorial Park. But he is impacting the downtown Royal Oak area. He's taking the parking lots, and we already are short of surface parking. He's impacting all the businesses from 4th to 5th by closing off that back alley, because that's where the stage is going to be. So all those businesses, including mine, including the bars, we park, that's where the employee parking is. He's displaced all those parking spots. That's the first thing. And second of all, we should charge him money to use our space. Does Ribfest, we give Ribfest any money at all to have their event? The answer is no. So why do we have to give him any money? If people wanted to go to a carnival, Shane Park's Carnival in Birmingham is just 2 weeks earlier. Also, the St. Mary's Orchard Lake, I think, is a week or two of his. It's the exact same carnival, the exact same ride. And those carnivals I'm mentioning, St. Mary's Orchard Lake and Shane Park, the admission is $0. It's free. He's charging $5. So if I'm a family, why would I come to Royal Oaks when I'm being charged to go to a carnival? Most carnivals, you walk in, it's free, and then you pay for the rides. His rides aren't free, you have to pay for them. This is the way he makes money. I think we should charge him to use our surface parking lots, just like any other event. I'm shocked that we're giving him any money at all. He's donating to charity the exact same amount, the exact amount that we're giving him. It's just like passing the money through. So he's displacing the, I'm really busy in June. It's one of my second busiest. May and June is my second busiest month compared to December. So my customers are now displaced. Yes, you say they can park in the street, but now the city's getting more congested. I don't think it helps the city at all. I think it's actually the carnival I've been to in Shane Park. It's not that high end of a carnival. So it is, he says it's unimpactable in the city. I think he's wrong. He wants his carnival, move it to Memorial Park. It's still Royal Oak. Move it to St. Mary's parking lot. That's a church. Let the church have the parking lot. Have the parking lot in all the churches and work with them. Why does he want to take our parking lots? If he wants to take our parking lots, we should charge him. And I also want to know, is there a bar crawl that weekend? You guys know that if it coincides with the bar crawl?
I do not know that.
Well, that'd be nice to know. Like people working at bar crawl, going to carnival rides, I don't think it's a good thing. We had to move our Howdy event last year because it coincided with the bar crawl. And we only had 2 rides, or maybe 1. So I think we should find that out. And I want to know why we're giving him any money at all. It makes 0 sense. It's not a win-win. He can have his carnival. He can do his carnival, but I think we should give him 0 money.
Anybody else?
So when Ribfest asks us for money, what's our answer? It's a horrible precedent.
Mr. Witz? Yeah. Mr. Wolf? This isn't Monday night. I don't take guff, okay? You get one chance with me, and then you're out. Understand? No, you don't say anything now. You stop. Understand? I don't take the guff that you give. Sit. Your time's up. Mr. Witz.
In
the same way, and I don't know if it's appropriate to respond to questions, because I think there were questions asked of Matt, if there's appropriate to respond to the question. Okay to do that. So the idea of a DDA supporting events and investing in events that benefit and bring people to their downtown is a precedent that happens in many communities. I also want to correct the fact that Orchard Lake St. Mary's does charge a fee to get in, and the parking, there is a fee to pay to get into Orchard Lake St. Mary's. So just as a clarification on that. The concept of involving charities is not the idea of a pass-through. The idea is to create a collaboration and to create a win from doing the event. The thing that differentiates us from RibFest is exactly that, is that we create major community goodwill, and we have a marketing plan, that is far superior, to that event, in addition to a track record. I don't think that there's a precedent set, and at the same time, we've been doing Arts Beats and Eats for 10 years, and we've had great success, and we've never come to this committee or this board to try and leverage it for different events. Meanwhile, as a group, you guys invest in events that you guys, will put tens of thousands of dollars into, and not necessarily get advertising benefit or the type of crowds that this event will bring. So there's why do something is that you work with a professional who has experience in doing the type of events that you need to do to deliver a large crowd, deliver large advertising, which benefits the downtown as a whole, that brings people in, that gets news crews down here, that talks about how great the downtown is. And they're not event promoters walking around here that are going to walk up to you and be able to have a track record that says that we do that. We do it in Detroit. We do it on the river. We've done it in Port Huron, and we've done it here in Royal Oak to the best extent of any organization around. So there is a reason that separates us, and that there's a justification for seeking out someone, no different than when you do an RFP, when you guys are contributing to trying to bring magic into your downtown. That's part of what you guys are charged with, and here you have, and I say this with no arrogance, only a track record, you have a established promoter who's lived up to what they say, and to penalize us for trying to, or say that involving charities is just a matter of you could write them a check. Well, of course you can, but it's not just the idea of writing these nonprofits a check. It's the idea of creating the collaboration of bringing families together. Part of the theme, the unity theme, is to bring people together against a divisive society that we have right now with all sorts of conflict. And here we're bringing all denominations, all faiths, not just Christian community, the Jewish community, the Muslim community, all houses of worship, are available and open. And on the parking side, as far as people getting to the back of the alley, all traffic from 4th Street to the back of the alley will be open for any people, employees that need to get behind businesses. None of that is going to be blocked off in any way. We could put a security person, give a pass out to everybody, let folks who need to get behind those buildings have access to them 24/7 in that alley behind your business and others, Commissioner, and there would be no impact there. And you have, how many spaces are in the new deck that's opening up?
That one there.
565.
565 coming in versus, 188 being used. Most of the people that park in the large lot are not walking, they're parking in the other parking decks are actually closer to Washington businesses than that parking lot over there, or equidistant at the least. So you have tons of parking available and a new deck coming in, and we can make OCC available if we feel that there's a parking shortage. So I don't think that's a fair argument that we're going to have an impact by touching those 288 spaces, and at the same time bringing in 30,000 to 40,000 new people. So
Just quick question. The comment came up about other events in the downtown. Was that discussed? I'm just curious, was it discussed with maybe consumer marketing or some other, are there things that this would cross paths with or something like that?
Is cross paths in which way?
Other events. bar crawls, I'm just curious, because I don't know.
No, but I think at this point, if this event was in the schedule, I think it would be easy to, with this, a bar crawl doesn't need the notice that this does. We're organizing 200, churches and school groups, which is our goal, in addition to other aspects and, but I
So there's like
think.
a schedule for this, I just don't know, I'm asking. So there's like a
Yeah.
schedule for the city, and it kind of goes in a.
I don't know the answer to that, but all my point would be is that a bar crawl could go a weekend before or after with very, little, if you felt that was a conflict, that would be one that's easy to move. As far as the major event schedule, we're aware that Clay and Glass is before and the Rib Fest is after, and again, the amount of, we're using no EMS or fire support whatsoever. We're bringing in a private EMS ambulance that'll be on site at all times, and private EMS, so there's no drain on the city from an EMS perspective, and the amount of officers are 2 officers during the day and 3 officers at night on Friday and Saturday, 4 Friday and Saturday, and 3 on Thursday and Sunday. So, and from talking to the chief, he has mentioned that there are officers that want those overtime hours. I mean, and that's a very small amount of officers needed, and there are officers looking for those overtime hours.
Go on, Tony.
Honestly, I think Director Lund makes some valid points. I mean, there's no really way to argue that any of that is wrong. And I had to think through it quite a bit, because I think historically we don't offer money to, but for Arts, Beats, and Eats, which is a different animal. Don't really offer support like this. I mean, we've done it, we've contributed money when we've done things. But I think there's some distinctions here. Director Riley hit upon a lot of them, and Mr. Witz did too. I mean, this is structured a little bit differently. It involves community. He does have a track record with Arts, Beats, and Eats of bringing a lot of people. I mean, to me, the worst thing we could do is to give money to something that doesn't hit a home run, or at least a triple or a double, and bring people to the downtown. I think we're betting here on a horse that's won before, and so we're making somewhat of an informed decision. I think with the structure and involving these community partners, churches, some schools, I mean, if other people structured events like this and they appear to be really good events with a proven operator, I'm not sure we wouldn't contribute to those either. But ones that at Rib Fest, it's not such and at least in my mind, not such an animal. It's just a festival in the parking lot, and there's not a lot of different levels to it, which I just think distinguishes it from this one. So at the end of the day, are we bringing quality people, in this case families, to downtown? I think we have a good chance of doing that, and it's not that it's not impactful. It's not that it's not impactful. It's as unimpactful as it can be to put on this kind of event. So, in my, I guess I concluded that it's worth the amount that we're considering to bring this caliber of an event to the downtown.
Well, because we have back-to-back events in June, he's the only one asking for money. It does impact people. Businesses pay rent every month. I don't get a week free rent from my landlord because he closes my business for a week for Arts, Beats, and Eats. I'm not going to get 4 days off because he's going to close the business for 4 days. It impacts my customers who want to come downtown and now can't find parking easily because of the festival. Those people are fenced in. They're not saying roam around the city, shop elsewhere. They're fenced into that carnival because his carnival wants to make money for his business. I'm fine with the carnival. Have the carnival. I don't think we should give him any money. Why? There's no reason why we should give him any money to have a carnival. It's a business venture. So we're partnering with him for his business venture. It's this thing that's setting a horrible precedent.
Well, first of all, I don't agree with the statement that they're fenced in. I mean, you said that there's not parking in there. They have to park, they have to come in, they have to go out. So they're coming into the city, okay? As for the money, the bottom line is, if we don't offer the money, then we don't get the event.
That's
Okay.
great. Then my city,
Then
then
we-
the
then
city's
we- then
not
we- then-
cluttered with
then we don't
another
get the
event on that
event.
weekend.
There's other events where we've put forth this kind of money that we didn't get the bang for our buck, okay? That don't have the track record, that don't give us the promotion, that don't give us the eyes on the city, that don't give us the mentions of the city, that don't bring the people in. And there's no event that you're gonna do that everybody is gonna go, this was the greatest, okay? No matter what we do, there's always going to be somebody upset with something that's done. As for the back-to-back, it does get a little bit, I guess the solace is that each one of the events is very different and brings a different crowd, which is what we should strive for. We shouldn't strive for people going to Shane Park or wanting to, or to Orchard Lake St. Mary's if they want to go to a carnival. We should strive for bringing people in here. And it does give us a balance with the events in that this is, particularly, truly family-oriented. Truly family-oriented. And again, it's taking of the surface parking lots, I totally agree with. I mean, that's the complaint going on with the building that we're doing. We all love the surface parking lots. There's no question about that. It provides convenience. But at the same time, the give and take is that your regular customers are gonna be inconvenienced. The hope is that you're gonna gain new customers from people coming in.
I heard that same argument for Arts, Beats, and Eats.
Well, but again, with all due respect, I mean, the positive of this is that Washington is not closed off, so. And again, it's a one-year thing.
Director Baglio.
I have some questions, and I'm gonna, I know it's a different animal, but there are some things that you do with Arts Beats and Eats, and I'm wondering how they're gonna be done with this festival. Sure. With Arts Beats and Eats, no one's allowed to bring food in or out. Is that gonna be the same rule?
Definitely, yes. Yep.
Can't bring food in or out?
No, we can't bring, alcoholic beverages can't be brought in, and again, the part of the not bringing food or beverage into the site also speaks to the fact that, that they're not thinking that they can bring food to the event, which might stop them from, going into restaurants that are in Royal Oak, and this is only in the footprint. It doesn't affect Washington Street, Main Street. The idea that you are telling people that are driving from outside, don't bring your picnic basket, means that a lot of people, as you know, that, for example, at Arts Beats and Eats, they don't eat at Arts Beats and Eats, they eat in restaurants all up and down the area. And if you send the message in that you can bring food, then you're sending the message, don't go to Lily's, or don't go to Cafe Muse, or don't go to Cacao Tree, or don't go to the burger, the Little Brothers Burgers, or Oak City, or whatever. You want to send a message in for outsiders, don't bring your picnic basket. And the idea of, we'll have nonprofits selling drinks again, and there'll be a liquor license again, and again, there's wins for everybody. We don't just sell, the alcoholic beverages we sell on Fifth Street at Arts Beats and Eats pale in comparison to the alcoholic beverages that are sold in the 4 locations that are around Fifth Street. I would take what we do at those 2 stands, and maybe they would equal half of what one of those places do. It's just not that great. You look at us collectively, and yeah, it becomes something. And I think we're not just protecting the event, we're also protecting a message of, hey, don't bring a 6-pack of Coke or a cooler, because, buy your beverages and your food from us and businesses.
I hear you, what you're saying. I'm thinking more along the lines of Starbucks. If I have a Starbucks cup and I want to walk through the festival, I have to dump it out. Can you relax that a little bit? A water bottle, it's pretty strict. Okay.
I think we try and have the policy. I would say, that, I would say that we would consider some type of something. I'm not gonna make it a stipulation of what we're offering, but, for an event like this, could that be discussed? I'd be happy to talk about that further.
Again, with Arts Beats and Eats, we give you guys $100,000, but we get that back if the event is profitable. Is there any chance that this donation could be structured in the same way?
Well, it would have to become, the Arts Beats and Eats revenue comes back from parking revenue, so you'd have to structure an internal deal between the DDA and the city. Again, one example of a way you could do that is to compare revenues from the same weekend in 2018 versus increased revenues in 2019, and take those increased revenues and cut a deal with the city to repay the DDA off of an increased revenue situation. So if you did, I mean, it's just a suggestion, if you guys did, $20,000 in revenue for that weekend throughout the downtown on that 4-day period, and you do $45,000, then you know that it's the event that's generating that, and you could create a payback, even if it's partial payback of some amount of money to everybody. It could be split, however it goes. But that's just one suggestion. That could be done, so the money from Arts Beats and Eats comes from parking, and, fortunately, it's consistently been there.
I'm not so sure the bond, as it's written, the rules would allow that.
And it impacts the people who pay rent there.
It's a good segue to
But that's fine, keep
some of
going.
my other points. And this is an internal thing that I'm going into next. It's awkward for me to sit here and listen to Matt present an event from the Business Marketing Committee. Typically, that's something that comes through our committee. Now, that being said, that's fine. But what happened when that was done is there are events that this Consumer Marketing Committee are working on that we haven't brought to this table yet, that this event may or may not conflict with, date-wise. So one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. So we can get past that, but I want to make sure that moving on forward, that we stay in your lane. I think that the synagogue, church, mosque aspect of this thing is a great thing, and I'm not going to risk turning into a pillar of salt, so I'm going to support this event. But it's a unity event, and the way it was started at this table was very divisive.
Okay, well, I just, it's coming at me personally, so I'll address, no, it's coming at me personally, so I'll address it. I didn't go out of my lane. I was asked to set up a meeting, okay? I didn't know what the meeting was for. I was asked to set up a meeting, and I'll leave it at that. And I apologize if I ruffled any feathers or hurt any feelings. The intention was not there.
I also want to make it clear that because of what I just said, that our committee has been working on other events that fall within this time frame. That this is, I'm going to lend it my support, but it's a one-time deal. The date is a one-time agreement to that date, and the amount of money is a one-time ask. If it's successful, we'll have to talk about it again next year.
Yeah, I mean, we would, if it was successful and everybody won, we would ask for the same deal, but I'm not asking for a long-term deal, so I'll accept it as a one-term deal, so I understand that, but if it went well, I would come back again because everybody won, and it was a good situation.
The one thing I do want to make clear, though, Gary, is this is not a DDA event. This event was okayed by the city commission outside of any committee meetings or whatever. The ask, this event was going to happen.
This is about the ask. This isn't about the event.
What's kind of weird, though, is shouldn't the ask have come first and then it gone to the city commission? I mean, that's typically the way it goes. I mean, and I'm not, again, my issue is not with the business marketing committee, or it's just that it was all backwards. It was weird.
The ask was made to get the flavor of the business marketing committee before they went to the commission.
But the money's coming out of the consumer marketing committee's budget, so.
Well, then, and I'm not gonna speak for the table here, then we will adjust the budget. Okay, unfortunately, we don't have a budget in the business marketing committee. That's because we don't do anything, so.
And all this,
That should be included.
this stuff should never be aired
That was-
publicly. I mean,
yeah.
this should.
Really?
That's been included,
understand.
right?
But listen, I just want, just so you understand, this event's going to happen, was going to happen with or without a DDA. I mean, this was going to the city commission. John's ask here today is a monetary ask, it's not a
Let me
permission.
clarify that. The commission approved the event from the city's perspective. Mr. Witz has indicated that he needs this contribution from the DDA for the event to happen.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So if the DDA turns this down, I'm expecting the event will not happen.
Correct.
Right.
And the other piece of that is, you know, the track record with Arts Beats and Eats is we went to the commission as well, you know, prior, but that's a much more invasive
Yeah.
event that we went to, you know, this is a far less invasive event. And again, I just state to the group as a whole, we've had this great track record, we've had this great reputation from year one, not in everyone's eyes, but we've had a very positive feeling about the stuff that we've done. And we have not come to you and tried to, you know, come up with 5 different events and say, hey, how can we, you know, leverage our good stuff in Royal Oak? We haven't brought one other event. You've put out an RFP. We put our time and energy into that RFP as a good citizen and tried to put together a good program for you guys as someone who knows, you know, who's in this field, and we responded to that. But we're not out here trying to find an edge or an angle here at the DDA's expense. We're trying to put together a formula that leads to success. And that, you know, that, again, the money that you're doing is leveraging another $70,000 to $80,000 of investment. You can't say that with other events to that level. And the marketing and the community side, you know, it's leveraging more than just plopping down some rides. It's more than that. So, anyway. Did you have more?
No.
Okay.
Director Spaya.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll be very brief. I have weighed the pros and cons of this, and thought about this actually for the last couple of days here, and tried to go through it all and try and figure it all out. And I think that everything that came out here tonight at the table was valuable, and I think everybody made very, very good points here. And I don't think anybody's wrong at the table here at all. I think everybody contributed to the discussion, and everybody's got some great, great valid points, and they all do come into play. They really do. So it is a matter of balancing this and weighing it and trying to figure out whether this is something that we want to do or something that we want to move forward with. This is a little different in terms of us talking about a one-year event, one-year plan, and then we'll see how it goes down the road. So I put that over onto the pro side, that you know, we'll experiment with it, and if it works, we'll look at develop it. We'll have more time to develop it. We'll have more time for preparation and everything else. We can look at ulterior dates. We can go so far as looking at ulterior locations. There's any direction that we want to go with this, we can. But we really kind of want to see whether it could work or not. I'm gonna, you know, after doing all of this, and weighing all the pros and cons, I am gonna support the event, just for a couple basic reasons. One is I do think it's a great family event, and I want to continue to do more family events that we can. I think we're going to get a lot of visitors from surrounding communities that are going to come to this. This event. I like the idea of it being a unity event and supporting the churches and the schools. And then in terms of the money aspect of it, you know, that was the part that I struggled with also. But then I got to thinking about some of the other stuff that we do up here at this table. And and this is just me, I personally can justify this money simply through marketing. I believe that this is well-spent money on marketing and advertising that will come out of this event. I think we would get more value out of this than some of the other money that we've spent in that category in marketing and advertising. And we're constantly looking at it, and we're constantly trying to improve that. But just from that event, that portion alone, I think this is great money to be spent on promotion, marketing, and advertising. So we sat here up at the table many nights, and we keep talking about downtown Detroit and how it's taking everything away from the surrounding communities and everything else. We have an opportunity now to bring something back from Detroit. So I think we should take full advantage of it. Obviously, I had an opportunity to watch the city commission meeting just before I came to this event. Obviously, they have a quote-unquote flavor for this when they passed it unanimously up at their table. So I think it's something that we should try for 1 year.
Dr. Yasby.
I don't want to belabor it too much more, but this is definitely not Arts Beats and Eats. And Mr. Witz knows, I've commented a couple times that I wish there was a way to be more inclusive for Arts Beats and Eats as far as the retailers that take a little bit hit. I wish we could come up with some concept that helps them.
It's a
But
really easy one, super simple.
But-
You put the booths back to back in the middle of the street and let people face the retailers. But he
But this-
purposely blocks them.
this is not Arts.
Tony's not talking Arts Beats.
This is not Arts Beats and Eats. And Rib Fest, somehow, that, I've talked to a couple of you, I know Gary for sure, that actually created an uptick in business for some of the retailers. So to me, this is more along those lines. And you said, we have other events in June, and June you said is a very good month for you. So maybe this is gonna be positive for the retailers too. Hopefully it will. And so that's just, I guess, another reason why I think, you know, it's worth taking a shot at it and seeing what happens.
Dr. Spire.
I don't know if there's an included, I can't open my computer here, so.
There's not.
Is there a resolution in
I
here?
don't believe there is a resolution.
No, there's
Do
no
we need a
resolution.
resolution
It
for
was-
this?
You do
Yeah,
need a
you're gonna,
resolution.
you're gonna need an action, and I guess I've got a few questions in the sense of if you're gonna approve it, how you're approving it, and an understanding of how we're approving it and how it's gonna function. If I read it right, the overall request is for $35,000, but 20,000 of that is to cover police, DPS, and parking fees. And generally, that's a reimbursement once I get the cost recovery numbers from the police department. It's just a fund transfer, so it's not an actual dollar that goes.
We don't need to see that money, just to answer that. We don't need to see that. Just 17.5 of it, only I want to just comment, Tim, that when talking to Corey, 2,500 is going to EMS, that's going to be private, so 17.5 would be reimbursed to the city, and 17.5 would come to us with 2,500 geared toward EMS and ambulance.
And I guess that's why I'm asking the question, is it seems there's how this functions going forward. So it's really a $17,500 sponsorship.
Correct.
That would go.
And then 17.5,
Well,
then covering
are
those
you-
costs.
Okay, if I can finish, are you capping your police and DPS and parking at 17.5?
We are okay with that. I'll give you the answer that benefits you, Tim, in the sense that if it's
I'm
excessive.
not asking you, John, I'm asking them what you want to do as far as
Yes.
what you want to do with this.
we'll
Are
cap
you
it at that,
capping, are you capping fees? Are you
Well, if we cap,
reimbursement? Are you paying the sponsorship of 17.5 up front, or are you going to reimburse it after the event's over? Do you want reimbursement from parking revenue? Do you want the fees, and you've touched on, you don't want the fees necessarily raised? I'm looking for direction on those 5
I
items.
thought it'd be a lot simpler than that, Tim. But you're-
Well, I again, when it comes, Arts Beats and Eats has an agreement that's clear on when you make payments and how you make payments. I don't think there's going to be any agreement with this. It's just going to be based on your resolution of
Okay.
how you want to proceed. And
I just make
and
one
what
comment?
I've laid out is kind of the standard operational procedure is that you don't give money to an event to cover cost recovery of the city. You simply cover them. And the question is,
Right.
are you going to cap that amount at something? And so your real sponsorship that would go to this Unity of Fair event is
17.5.
17.5, I guess,
the sponsorship.
rather than the 15 I was thinking based on the letter, but 17.5.
And then 2,500.
And again, do you want,
Is EMS.
are you going to pay that up front, or are you going to reimburse it after the
20,
event?
What is your ask then?
No, our ask would be, one, to have that 17.5 up front, and I'm sure the city's fine reimbursing on the back, as it's been done with Arts Beats and Eats, and Don
So
knows.
the sponsorship comes out up front.
Up front, and but the one comment I wanted to make that was directly relevant, and I'm sorry for jumping in, Tim, the comment that I wanted to just make that was relevant is I did talk to the chief and said, if he thought at any time we needed more officers, or there was a reason for that we would pay that as an additional amount. So that's why I was just saying right off the top, we're agreeable to a cap, and we've already talked to the chief about the fact that any additional costs that were to come in from the city, if DPW came over, the parking's already been agreed to, so that's set. And the understanding with the chief is if the police costs exceeded it, we would be responsible for those additional charges. So that's why I was just adding in that's a benefit, that's an answer that is obviously to the DDA's advantage there, so.
John, the EMS is in your 17.5.
The EMS, it's in the 35, so the 17.5 are city costs that are projected now. And then 2,500 is EMS, and then 15 is a sponsorship, so we need the 15 and the 2,500 up front, and then the 17.5 would be in the back, and the 25 goes to us, and we'll pledge that money gets allocated. Instead of having the city provide the city services, the chief agreed that we could provide the city services for EMS and have private EMS and an ambulance, because the city's cost of an ambulance would be greater than our private cost. So,
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I'm just gonna break this down simple for
Yes,
you.
sure.
So 17,500 is for the sponsorship and the EMS. It goes
Correct.
to you. You
Correct.
handle the EMS. That goes out the door right away. 17,500 gets reimbursed on the back end from the DDA to the police. Sorry, right, yeah, but it's a cap. It's a cap.
we're asking for it, around March 1, so.
Okay, got it.
The reimbursement to the city
It's right there.
is the 17, up to a cap of 17.5.
Yes.
Cap of 17.
And that's handled on this side.
We
without
don't
you.
mind, we don't care, we don't need to get the money and then pay the city, we're totally fine with what Tim just said, and I just was only adding that we had already talked to the chief about anything above that would come out of would be our responsibility. The presumption would be that things would be so busy that we needed more officers, and if that happened, then we would be responsible for anything additional.
Director Sofia?
I'm just gonna ask, Tim, do you want in the resolution, the DDA's, not request, but, that we need we do not want any changes to the parking rates? Did you want, I just don't know if
I
you
don't know
wanted
that
that
you
in
need
there.
to say you don't want any changes. I would say if you want changes, you should put it in.
Okay.
If you want reimbursement, you should put it in. On the other hand, if all you want to do is provide 17.5, is there an entity here, or is it you?
Yeah, it would be JWA, Jonathan Witz and Associates, is the entity.
To that entity, sometime on or after March 1st. And then there would be a cap of 17,500 to cover DPS parking and DPS services.
If we ask for reimbursement, would that lead to increasing the parking rates?
Not necessarily.
So there would be no reason to not ask for it, in my mind. If it's gonna lead to an influx of parking in the city, we might want to recoup from that, don't you think?
From
From the city?
From the parking fund?
From the, isn't that what he was suggesting?
Well,
That may be what he was suggesting.
yeah, but and again, with the bonds, et cetera, I don't know if that's a kettle of fish that.
Is it, Don?
I think it complicates things considerably with
Yeah.
regard to the bond, and it's not something I would even want to deal with.
If it,
My own feeling is in agreement with what the committee said. I don't want to charge anything extra, and I just would like the DDA to accept that expense.
It's an investment,
Yes.
absolutely. And that was the way that we had kind of come to it.
But
that it's
but
an
I would
investment.
like a separate resolution, just to go back to the city commission, if that's going to be the position of the DDA, that we're requesting that there be no increase in parking for the
So
event.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. If we're willing to accept that it's an investment, then we want to make sure that parking isn't touched. I agree.
I would only suggest an agreement that we do. I know you don't say you need one, but an agreement actually protects you guys related to being named as additional insured and liability and all the things that are involved as we do in partnership. So we're going to need some kind of contract done with the city on this event. So I would suggest that we do that just for your protection liability. In that contract, we would also stipulate what we'll be investing in the event and the marketing commitment we're going to make and how the event's going to work, just so you guys know we live up to what we plan. We put that in writing to you on what we're doing for you. So I'm just offering up, the idea of having an agreement that says, hey, this is what we promise to do for this event in exchange for what you're doing for us. So I'm just suggesting that because it works well with Arts, Beats, and Eats, and it doesn't have to be a complicated, long agreement, but it just says we're going to mention the city of Royal Oak in all this advertising. We're going to, do our best to do this. So, anyway, just throwing that out there as well.
Okay.
Okay, you want to give it a shot?
Why are you looking at me?
Well, you're the one, you look like you're getting ready to do it. Between the two of you.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve. Would it be let's talk about the sponsorship. Would it be called a sponsorship, Tim? 17,000?
Well, I'm gonna go back and ask the question, if you want to have an agreement drafted, and go that route, then I would simply refer it back to staff to draft an agreement pursuant to these activities. But I was trying to cover it as a resolution to simply say you're a sponsor. You're going to give $17,500 to this entity for this event. You don't have any liability. It's not your event. It's not any different than the St. Patrick's Day Parade. It's not any different than that you give those. You're not party to the event. You're not responsible for the event. If something goes wrong, it's between Mr. Witz and the city. It's not, you just, here's your money. Generally speaking, though, you give your money after the event, not before, and that's your coverage to make sure it happens.
So I'll make a motion.
I want to go.
Director Yesbit.
I'll make a motion to contribute $17,500 to the Unity Fair pursuant to a contract to be executed between the city and John Witz Associates.
And the resolution includes a 17.5 for expenses as well.
Is that the same resolution, Tim? To include the city?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Which contract is to include an additional maximum 17.5 to reimburse the city for expenses associated to the fair.
And then would the request to the city on the parking be a separate?
Yeah,
That's a separate
Okay,
resolution.
okay.
so there's a motion,
I'll second.
second by Jason. Do you have any discussion? Anybody? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye, nay, whatever you say. I'm curious, how do we know it's successful? Based on his sales or in its business impact? How would we assess that?
All factors.
I would say that the Consumer Marketing Committee, this is just my personal opinion, the Consumer
back to the
Marketing
Consumer
Committee
Marketing Committee.
would evaluate it like they evaluate every other event that we do, whether it be Spooktacular or Holiday Glow or, I think, if I remember speaking with Gary, you guys are gonna start evaluating what the event we just had, so I would imagine that it would go down pretty much that same path. But, that's what I think, but.
What does that evaluation consist of? How do you evaluate for that?
Well, we just talked about what worked and what didn't work. We
Parking.
just last
Yep.
meeting.
I'll make a motion that due to our commitment to this event and our agreement, or our willingness to not increase parking rates, that parking rates remain unchanged for the event.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
A second by Director Baglio. That suffice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Don asked for that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually the word recommend should be in there because technically, as the parking committee, we only recommend to the city commission.
Right, and this will go to the commission, correct?
Right.
Will it automatically go, or do we have to stipulate that it goes to the commission?
Go.
They'll see it.
It's
There
going.
isn't, it doesn't require any action on their part.
Right.
It would actually require action for them to make a
Change it.
change.
Got it, okay. Recommendation.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Is there any Yeah, I got a second from Director Bagley already.
Okay.
I got a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion regarding this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm abstaining from this vote.
Okay. All right.
John, my birthday's June 20th.
I don't want to do anything on this. I'm so angry.
And my apartment
I
is
think we
right
should
in
give
front of
him no
that
money. We
stage.
should charge him,
So,
Let's sing happy birthday.
bring you up there.
Well, I guess we'll just rename the
Happy
event.
summer.
On the evaluation side, just a quick comment, we'll provide marketing reports and
Main decision already has been.
Yeah.
stay what the city was included in from a value
Try to make sure that whatever we do,
Give you a template.
Thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
And money raised for the different outfits as well. Yeah.
But we should definitely have
right.
police traffic in here. It seems to be very.
Item number 8, Rome Home. Mr. Twain.
I simply put this on the agenda because there's a movement to have an overall event as described in the commission letter, where the city commission had approved the status of this organization and as a sponsorship. In a lot of the documents in the communication, the ending event would be the DDA Spooktacular. And I was simply looking for an action from the board that confirmed that, number one, you are willing to participate or be part of this, or number two, that you're not. So it's without taking license, I think at some point the board needs to decide whether or not you are going along with the Rome activity or the activities and events they're suggesting, or that you're not. So that's why I really put it in front of you, is to let, some of you may already know this is going on, others may not, but what role, if any, do you want to have in this operation? I don't know if Sean wants to add any more to the conversation, but we really haven't been doing participation with it from our level.
So if we were to show interest in this, it would be anything within the DDA boundaries associated with this event?
Well, if you read it, it looks like, they're proposing that there be a week-long celebration with a variety of interests from various organizations, the chamber, the schools, the restaurant association, the historical society, and it lists the DDA. And the ending event being your spectacular event, and I think they're looking for this to be branded in some fashion as part of your event, and in this Rome Home, I don't know, branding exercise, for lack of a better term. And what, if any, role, are you going to do that or aren't you? I mean, are we gonna?
Could we refer this to Gary's committee?
Sure.
I was just about to ask Gary, what do you think of this whole thing?
Yeah.
You don't want to refer to the business marketing committee?
At our meeting 2 days ago. I mean, yes, I think that's a good idea. We should talk about it at the committee level. However, I don't, other than Spooktacular being the crescendo of the week-long, I don't know how much more the DDA could be a part of that.
Yeah, we might need to find out what that means.
Yeah, I have been a hard time wrapping my head around this event. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that's been referred back to committee. Moving on to number 9, the preliminary alley master plan.
How cool is this?
The infrastructure committee
So
has
cool.
seen this and made comments on it. I just wanted to make sure the rest of the board had seen the preliminary plans for the alley improvements from 3rd to 6th Street. And if you had any comments, questions, issues that you wanted the committee to continue to work with the infrastructure committee on, that was.
Gotta do more alleys.
Was appointed. One of the things that is currently ongoing, and Sean is doing, is inventorying dumpsters that are in the alley, recycle bins that are in the alley, versus those that are enclosures within the buildings and vice versa, so that as part of this, those elements will need to be addressed in some fashion as well. But before this goes to completion, I thought the rest of the board should at least get a look at the direction it's heading, so.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I don't know if anybody from the committee wants to talk, but I know that was quite well done.
It was really well done, and
Yeah.
I might say too much.
No, I just want to address the fact that the flavor on the committee was that we really needed to address the dumpsters and the grease bins and everything else before we even look at moving forward with this plan. That issue has to be resolved in one way, shape, or form before we start investing dollars into beautifying these alleys and making them better than what they are now and so forth. So I know we're still working on it, but we'll see where we go with it.
Yeah, I want to second that.
Yeah.
That issue. These are beautiful pictures, and you don't see a dumpster or a recycling bin in any of them.
Yeah.
And you know, these businesses need a place to dispose of their garbage.
They do.
I mean, and we're not going to put it on the Main Street sidewalk. It's going to go out in the alley one way or another.
So we have to figure that out.
First floor of the new parking garage.
There you go, right?
Just drive right by.
And that was pretty much at our infrastructure meeting. That was, of course, the genesis was the dumpsters and everything else, so. But a beautiful job, and this is also paid for through the Main Street program, correct? Yes. Yeah. So this hasn't cost the DDA anything up to this point. Up to this point. Yeah, so. Anybody with any questions, comments? Nope. On this? All right, let's move on to committee updates.
Actually, before we do that, Sean is not here.
He's right here.
It's right here.
He's sitting in the Ed McMahon chair.
I'd just like to personally thank you for getting us back into the Main Street program.
Yes.
I think it's paid off big time already.
It's actually paid off in a couple, well, it's paid off for Motor City Gas, it's paid off for the Center Street Salon, correct? So, amongst others, so. All right, 10A, Consumer Marketing Committee. You did have a meeting.
We did have a meeting. We met on Monday and reviewed Spooktacular, the Holiday Glow, and our social media marketing. We talked about the pluses and the minuses of all of the events. And moving forward, we're going to take the pieces that worked well and move forward with those. The general consensus about Holiday Glow was the footprint was too big. It didn't seem to be, there wasn't enough activity in the footprint. The balloons were awesome. They went up too late. Most families and people were not there to see that. The cookie crawl was amazing. I think it's consensus to increase the numbers of that next year. The tent, we don't know how the retailers did in the tent, but it seemed to be well attended most of the festival, mainly because it was warm. Spooktacular, I think we're all happy with the way it's been going. And then we made some minor adjustments to our social media and added some hashtags and tweaked that a little bit. Yes.
A couple things on the holiday. and these are just personal observations for what they're worth. I thought the tent was great. I thought it looked great. I thought the vendors were great. I liked where the stage was, just the whole way it was set up. I thought it was great. I thought the cookie crawl was great. In fact, you and I were
Very
sitting there
nice,
during
yeah.
the cookie crawl, and it was very well attended. It was fantastic. The one thing, the problems that I had, like personally, I'm not a social media person, and I literally had I not been on the DDA, I don't think I would have known as much about the event, and I had to kind of search to find schedules and what time things were for the event. At the event, I think there was this one spot that I saw anyway, along Washington, where there was something about that. With the bands, I couldn't find anywhere where there was a schedule of bands or music anywhere. That would have been something I was interested in. There was, and again, I'm not the norm. I know that I'm a little bit of a Neanderthal, but I'm old school. I like to see maybe ads or something or banners over streets. Hey, the holiday glow is the 7th and 8th. I think that particularly, when we're advertising to community and other communities about this, I just
Julie
didn't
gave
see
us a report on where everywhere that this was advertised, and she hit all the bases. I'm giving it, personally, I feel like it was a first-year event.
Okay.
And maybe that's why the attendance was kind of down. We were in the Free Press, we were in the news, we were in Metro Times, we were in the Royal Oak Review on the front page, the Tribune.
TV.
On television.
Okay.
I mean, we did all the
Okay.
things that we normally do.
I
I just
and
feel
that very well. I could
it
have
needs to
missed it.
grow, but you're not the first person to say that.
Yeah, and again, it's, I was kind of tied up with other things, so I wasn't watching TV as much and things like that. So the other thing is, while I like the balloons, just to take a risk of the not the main focal point, but probably the big sizzle of the event, to rely on weather. And it's a touch and go weather. It's 5 miles an hour, and just for grins, I looked up what the average wind speed is in Royal Oak at 8 p.m. on December 7th and 8th, and according to the weather thing that I saw, it's 12 miles an hour.
It was 12, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're really rolling the dice on that.
Yeah.
We are rolling the dice on that.
Not sure we're gonna put all our eggs in that basket again next year, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the kind of thing I would expect to do every year anyway.
No.
I'll be looking to do something different next year. But the cookie crawl is definitely something I'd want to repeat.
Absolutely.
Cookie
That
crawl
was an amazing.
Amazing, and people were shopping. I mean, that was the beauty of it. They were
People were
shopping.
saying that we charge too little for the tins.
They had to unload their car, back to their
Yeah.
cars and go back to
No, it
the
was
crawl,
good.
so it was great. Anybody else?
Goodness, fine.
I think Don makes a great point, what he just said, and I want to kind of emphasize it and back it up a little bit, is I think it's an evolving event, and I think it needs to evolve year after year after year. I don't, we have to constantly look at it and take the good things and develop those, and take some of the bad things and change those or move them out or however. So I think it's just going to be another thing. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was, I'd like the committee to maybe look at it as being, as opposed to being a 2 or 3 day event, if it's something that we could do over a season, if it's something that we could do, carriage rides every Friday and Saturday night for a month or a month and a half.
Carriage
or-
rides were sold out before the event even started, which tells me that we could probably do that every week.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think, if we could do, like, for the whole month of December, if we could take certain events and maybe fill the the December calendar with different events, as opposed to compacting it into a 2-day
Yeah.
type thing. I'm wondering if that's a possibility that
Tony will let us put a
that maybe you
tent in
guys
front
could
of
take a
his-
look at.
Tony will let us put a tent in front of his business for the entire month of December.
He's okay with it.
He's not the only person on Fifth Street, though.
He's okay with it.
People were scalping the cookie tin tickets on Facebook the day of. That was crazy.
Interesting.
That was cool. The whole thing was cool.
Is that it, Gary?
That's it.
Anything else? Okay. What do we got now? Infrastructure Committee. We actually have some things that require action.
Yeah,
You want me to wander through it again?
yeah, let it, because I can't open up the recommendations here, so.
Yeah, that's what I kind of.
Yeah. That's all right.
The Infrastructure Committee covered a series of topics. I guess the first being several Genesis grant applications through the Oakland County Main Street Program, one for Smokey's Fine Cigar and one for 515. And the committee is recommending support of both of those. They also discussed with the Greg Rassel from DPS the proposed recycling program, a pilot program for the downtown. And the committee's supporting that in the pilot program, provided all the funding comes from the solid waste or other city funds. And then the committee also discussed the CBD maintenance program that will, the contract with Worry Free will end in fiscal year 1920, in April fiscal year 1920. Fiscal year 1920. But it'll actually end in April of 20. The Infrastructure Committee has asked staff to, or is recommending that staff put a bid package together and bid it out. So we'll start working on that over the next several months and put it out for bid, or bring it to the DDA for approval to bid. So those first three items, there's a resolution there that the committee's recommending. And I guess I'll stop with that one, and there's a resolution there for all three of those projects recommending approval.
I'll move all three resolutions.
Support.
Okay, we got a,
Mr. Chair, if I may just say one thing.
Sure.
This is the only mic that works. I just wanted to report, I did talk to Oakland County Main Street, and the funds for Spirit of Maine, which is a countywide program, have been exhausted for the remainder of the year. They have notified the applicants, I think as of last night, so encouraging them to apply when the funds replenish next year. So I guess there's a bit of a decision as to whether or not to approve them and wait for the funds to renew, or hold off on judgment from the standpoint of the DDA and wait to see if they reapply for those same funds when that fund is replenished.
so will both these businesses have to reapply?
They would have to reapply in order to qualify for funds for the next round.
So if we approve this, it doesn't mean anything at this point?
Well,
If we approve it, can they just apply directly?
I'm not sure of the answer to that, so.
If they want to apply for the same thing, I would say just go ahead and approve it. You've already done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they can resubmit next year, so, or whenever the funding's available. You don't need to see it again.
Right.
Perfect. Efficiency.
Yep.
Motion stands.
Motion stands, there you go. Okay, any discussion on the motion?
We had plenty of discussion at that committee level, and I think we vetted everything else.
We really did.
All right. And seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
The next item the committee discussed, and there is no specific resolution, was the Motor City Gas DDA facade grant. As part of the reimbursement, they're required to submit all the final invoices and the final project. And the committee had wanted to forward it to the DDA for your review. So you should have all the materials in there. I don't know if the committee members have had a chance to look at it and want to offer a recommendation, but generally staff needs the board's approval to approve or pay the dollar amount under that reimbursement agreement.
So I reviewed what I could between yesterday and today, and it looks like everything that we initially approved at that time was constructed. So, is there a resolution, Tim? I didn't see a resolution.
No, I didn't do one because I didn't know what you wanted to.
Okay.
So no, you just need one to approve and authorize payment.
I'd make a motion to authorize payment as previously agreed to.
Got a motion by Director Creer,
I'll second.
and a second by Dr. Savian.
On this one.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a motion, we got a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none. I'll call-
Just
oh, sorry.
one quick question. Tim, typically when we do these, does anybody on staff look at this material before it gets to us?
Well, we look at it with the committee, but I
Okay.
mean, since it's a facade application, it's really the committee and the DDAs. Did they do the work that
That was.
blessed by the
Okay.
committee, and that's not a staff decision.
No, I was just curious about the procedure, that's all, whether staff had looked at it to see if there was something that they liked or didn't like or questioned or anything else, so.
And I'm going to
Done.
recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, very good. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We got it.
Supported it?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And
The last item that the committee discussed was an item referred to the DDA by the city commission and regarding some of the parking around Royal Oak Manor. Both the police chief and the director of public services were there and outlined what they were planning on doing around that area. And that's kind of described in the last part of the memo where it says a limited number of the parking passes for P7 currently being sold to the manor. Approximately 30 will be valid for use on William Street between 6th and 7th. There's roughly 17 spaces there. And that the actual users will be based on mobility as determined by the Royal Oak Manor. I believe that's kind of how the police chief and DPS director outlined it. Committee was supportive of that outline, but again, they didn't forward any particular recommendation. So again, I'll defer to the committee members to what they wanted to do with it.
My understanding is on this is that Don, can you correct me on this? The commission looked at this, correct?
Well, the commission had discussions on it that was followed up with a meeting that the police
And
chief
the
had.
only action taken on it was refer to the DDA? Or was there action taken? Do you?
I don't believe they've taken any action since the November 26th meeting where they referred it to the DDA.
They
but
referred it to
I
the
don't believe
DDA,
they've
okay.
taken any formal action.
Okay, so I think the committee's stance on this, I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
But I believe the police chief may already be incorporating this plan and doing this plan.
Right, right. So I think the committee, after meeting with Mr. Rassel and the chief, I think the committee was satisfied with the plan that they put forward, and we're comfortable with the plan that was put forward. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in terms of what we discussed, but, so we were ready to send it back up to the commission if that's where it goes from here. I don't know whether the commission has to take any action on it or not. It sounds like some of the changes have been implemented already, and, but we didn't feel the need for any more action at this table.
well then, you still want something though from us, correct?
Well, if you support it, you can adopt a resolution supporting it.
No, sorry.
Yeah, no, so what am I doing here, Tim? I'm
Well, you're just making a motion to support the police chiefs and DPS directors'
Recommendations.
plan for
Okay.
activity.
Yeah. So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Anything else from the infrastructure committee?
I think that was it. I think you covered it all.
Yep.
Business marketing committee?
I think everybody knows what we did.
All right, on to 10A. Sean?
11A.
I'm sorry, 11A. Always add one, whatever I say.
All right, I'll keep my report brief. But first off, I just want to congratulate Motor City Gas for being awarded that Spirit of Main Main Street grant for marketing purposes to build a new website. We went and awarded Motor City Gas that ceremonial check. We had representatives from Oakland County, Main Street. We had our county commissioner there. We also had representatives from Genesis Credit Union there as well. We went before the city commission on, I believe it was December 10th. So that definitely reflected well on downtown and well on the city as well. So looking forward to seeing a lot more applicants come before DDA in 2019. Just report a few things at our most recent stakeholders meeting. A lot of that echoes what was said in regard to the event, the Holiday Glow event that recently happened. The balloons were a big hit. They were on social media. They were on the news the following week, so it definitely went viral, very popular. Cookie Crawl was definitely a hit. I think we invented a new institution in Royal Oak with that, so I received just fantastic feedback from the business owners regarding that event. One thing was to potentially reconsider closing Washington for future events. So there was a lot of retailers who said that their sales were down as much as 60% from closing Washington that weekend. So I did bring that up to the committee, and they're going to take that information into consideration when planning future events. One other piece of feedback I received at the stakeholders meeting, mind you that when I do report a lot of this stuff, I'm not reporting my stance on this. I'm just letting you guys know what was said at these meetings in order to help you guys be aware of sentiments going on downtown. We did have a stakeholder who did address the group at our stakeholders meeting, who was pretty adamant in his position on wanting to see the DDA look at scoping out new sites for future surface parking lots. So I figured I'd include that in my report and report that out to the board. I'm not even sure how possible that is, but I figured I would include it. One other thing I ran into, especially with our downtown decorations, is we've been experiencing some ongoing electrical issues with a lot of our decorations and our tree. I've had to make numerous calls, emergency calls last minute to Public Works and to the city electrician to go out and resolve a couple of issues. They were very responsive. They came out, especially before the Holiday Glow event, and they were able to repair a lot of the damaged outlets. Apparently a lot of the water was tripping the GFI outlets, and a lot of the lights were going out again and again. We wanted to make sure that the tree was illuminated fully before the Holiday Glow event. We didn't want any embarrassing incidents, so fortunately we were able to avoid those. But I think maybe we should take a look at the electrical outlet situation on the streetlights, because there are many that are out. If you go out now, you'll spot them. So I know that it was reported to me that some of the wires were permanently severed by some utility companies when they came and worked on some things with the sidewalks. So I'm not quite sure where those issues are at, but I'm going to try to look into more to see if there's any solutions we can have. So next year we'll make sure that we have all of the lights and the sprays fully operational. Advertising. This is the first report I've given since October. Since that time, the advertising campaign has gone live. We are running television advertisements, radio. We're on Pandora, digital, social media. I met with the committee on Monday. They want to make sure that we really double down on focusing on making sure we get these ads out in a way that are being seen, especially on social media. So I'm going to be meeting with our media buyer tomorrow, and we're going to try to go over some details on how she plans to spend the remainder of that budget. And I'll be in touch with the committee with the results of that meeting and requesting some further guidance from there. Small Business Saturday was definitely a hit. I'd personally like to thank Lily's Seafood and Grill. They really helped us with marketing Small Business Saturday. They were one of our champions down here, advertising the ornaments, the tote bags. So it was very popular, and I personally want to thank them for helping us make it that popular. So. I've also included a list of expenses for that too. That was within the $7,000 budget that was approved by the DDA. Lastly, I just want to announce some business closures. Cream Blends on 4th Street has announced that it's going to be closing its retail location, and they're going to be continuing its business online only. Likewise, Liz Louise, they're on South Washington, down there by OCC. They've announced that they're going to be moving to Port Huron. So their business owners are relocating, and they're taking their business with them. That being said, and on a positive note, business openings. Vera Asian opened on Main Street. Very popular location. I went to their ribbon cutting with the chamber, so it's definitely a very popular place. There's always people going in and out of it, so I think that's definitely a benefit for that side of that block. Glad to see one less vacancy on that block, and it's a very nice location too, if you haven't already seen it. Bar Louie is still pending opening. They just need to resolve a couple of issues, and I think that they're going to be open very, very soon. And then likewise, City Ramen is still going through its build-out, and they plan to be open shortly. We also had an announcement that Condado Tacos will be opening in the former B-Spot location. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Anybody, any questions, comments? Thank you, Sean. 11B, quick zone parking spots.
The rest of them are really just for your information. If the board's got questions on any of that, I think you've seen the quick zone parking stuff, the Veterans Memorial crack repair. We are looking at a crack on the backside that, and I don't know if you've got a date when that's going to be done. Have you heard from when they're going to finish the crack on the backside?
They called me. I received a phone call from Leonardo's actually yesterday afternoon. They assured me they have not forgotten about me. They are actually swamped with work right now. They won't be able to get to finishing that second section until after the first of the year.
And again, the rest are just informational items.
Anybody with anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. You're looking at me.
I am.
You look at me if you want to.
All right, well, I have a motion.
I'll support that.
Director Johnson, and I want to thank Director Krieger for being here.
Yes.
On time.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.